Right, predictions with probability. We're going to set up some proportional equations. This isn't going to be as hard as it looks. So it says the probability of spinning a 4 and a C is 1/4, because the 4 is 1 out of the 4 options, times 1/3, because the C is 1 out of the 3 options. So you have a 1 out of 12 chance of spinning a 4 and a C on your spin. Okay, it says predict how often 4 and C will occur after spinning both spinners 240 times. So we have to set up this proportional equation and solve it. So we're going to have 1/12 is equal to what we need to figure out. So we'll put a variable for x over the 240 spins. So 1/12 equals, we don't know, out of 240 times. Now what we need to do to solve this is cross multiply and then isolate the variable. 240 times 1 is 240 equals 12 times x is 12 times x. I want to get the variable by itself. It's attached to the 12 by multiplication. And when I say get the variable by itself, I mean all by itself on one side of the equal sign. Okay, I undo that multiplication with division. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Now what I've got left on this side of the equation, or this side of the equal sign, is my variable. Hooray. And I know that that is equal to 240 divided by 12. What's that? I get 20. So the likelihood that I'll get that combination of a C and a 4, if I spin the spinners 240 times, is only 20 chances. 20. That's my answer. Okay, toss 1 dime. The probability of getting heads is 1 out of 2, because there's 2 sides to that dime, heads or tails. Two options. Tails is one of my options. Or heads is one of my options. Predict how many times you would get heads if you flipped 200 times. I'll set up my proportional equation. 1/2 equals x out of 200. I cross multiply. 200 times 1 is 200. Equals 2 times x is 2 times x. To undo multiplication, I divide. To get that variable all by itself, I divide by what's attached to it. And I'm left with x equals 200 divided by 2, which is 100. Which makes sense. 1/2 is equal to 100 out of 200, because 100 is half of 200. The probability of rolling an even number on both sides is 1/2 by 1/2, because half of the even numbers on each die, half of the numbers are even, So with 2 die, you have a 1 in 4 chance of having even numbers. Predict in 120 tosses how many times an even number will appear. So 1/4 equals x over 120. I cross multiply. 120 times 1 is 120. 4 times x is 4 times x. I undo that multiplication with division. I divide by what's stuck to the variable via multiplication. What I do to one side, I do to the other. I have x equals 120 divided by 4, which is 30. The probability of drawing a yellow triangle is 3 out of 5. If you replace the card, how many times will you draw a yellow triangle out of 250 draws? 3 out of 5 is equal to x out of 250. Oh, I'm getting such a bad headache from staring at the screen all day long. Okay, cross multiply 3 times 250 gives you 750 equals 5 times x. 5 times x. I want to get this variable by itself, so I'll divide by 5. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. So now I have x by itself. Good. 250 divided by 5. 750 divided by 5. Oh, sorry, I'm tired. 150. Oops, I did a typo. There. The probability of spinning an even number is 1/2. If you spin 600 times, how many chances do you predict getting the number? 1/2 equals x out of 600. Now, if I'm really good at mental math, I know that half of 600 is 300, and I can forego all of these other steps. Or I'll just do it this way. Cross multiply, you get 600 equals 2 times x, divide by 2 on both sides. X equals 300. The probability of drawing a pink marble from a bag containing these marbles is 3 out of 10. If you replace the marble each time, how many times a pink marble will be chosen out of 100 draws? So 3 out of 10 equals what out of 100? Well, if you're good at mental math, you might know, oh, I multiplied that 10 by 10 to get 100, and what I do to the top, I can do to the bottom, or what I do to the bottom, I could do to the top too. So you'll get 30 out of 100. Basically, we're filling this spot and it's still the x. The x is going to be equal to 30. Or if you want to do the steps, we can write it like this. 3 out of 10 equals x out of 100. Cross multiply, you get 300 if you do 100 times 3 equals 10 times x. 10. Fingers are getting sore. I'm using this. Divide by 10 on both sides to undo what has been done to the variable. What I do to one side, I do to the other. 300 divided by 10 is 30. And that equals our x. The probability of drawing the blue marble is 1/2. If you replace the marble, blah, 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 how many were chosen out of 50 draws? Well, half of 50 is 25. You could set up the proportional equation. All right, next lesson.